morning. Good morning. Good morning, friends. It is so good to be here with you. Hi, my name is Jess. I am with the Coffer Center. We are the nonprofit arm of the Chicago area next to SAG-AFTRA's office, and we serve Chicago area union performers, SAG-AFTRA, Equity, and others. And we are excited to be here with you today. It's been a minute since we've had a live feed with you all, and I'm really excited about this one as things have been opening back up, picking back up, and going back to work. And we are together today with our friends at O'Connor Casting, looking forward to chatting with them about what going back to work has looked like. If you, before we get rolling with them, if you don't follow us on Facebook, on Instagram, please do that. We're at Coffer Center. That's how you could stay tuned for events like this, as well as other events that we are doing for community building and working on the craft together. You could also follow us by subscribing to our newsletter that's at coffercenterchicago.com. There's a button right down at the bottom. So if you don't already get our information to your inbox, please do that as well, because we would love to have you at other events such as these. But we have a tight and exciting half hour with O'Connor Casting here. We fielded your questions in advance. You guys have asked some very great things, and we've put them to our friends at the casting office, and we're going to put the questions straight to the trenches and hear what it looks like right now in the casting world and how we can be working with our friends in the casting offices to do the best work we can do in this moment of time. So without further ado, I want to bring in our friends from O'Connor Casting. We are lucky to have David O'Connor, Joan O'Connor, and Virginia Anello with us today. We have all three of them. So hi guys, thank you so much for being here, David, Joan, and Virginia. I know it's not easy to step away from the inbox sometimes, so we appreciate you guys for being here. Before we get started, how are you doing? It's been months since I've seen or talked to any of you in a real way. How is it going over there?
We're doing great.
Who wants to go?
It's going. We've been productive. Things are slowly starting to kick back into action. Other than that, it's business as usual for us.
Nice. Virginia, how are you?
I miss everybody. So many people I just miss. I just want to see people. Like when we do these, we don't get to see anybody. So it's I just miss seeing people walk in and small talk and
she wants hugs.
Hugs are a big thing.
Hugs are a huge thing. I've been saying for a while, I have no idea how we all come back from this because we're such a touchy group that you're like, how do you find the new normal of I can't grab everyone that I want to see right now. But Joan, how are you?
Good. I'm lonely here in the casting room. There are no actors with me, so I miss you all as well. But this is not my thing. I'm kind of a cross between Cindy Brady and Albert Brooks in broadcast news right now. So bear with me, guys. I'm a behind the camera kind of gal. So,
well, I appreciate all you guys for sitting down in front of the camera and helping everyone that's on the other side of these platforms figure out what they can do to help you when their cameras go live. So getting straight to the point, without further ado, are castings on pause? What does casting and the workload look like because of COVID-19?
Well, I'll take that one because there's some things I won't be able to answer today. Casting is definitely not on pause. We were working throughout pretty much after about a month into quarantine, we started getting some calls on some projects. So we've been casting. Every project is unique. Every project is odd. We're dealing with COVID, then we're dealing with, at the beginning, we were dealing with people who were, recording everything at home and actually using that footage at home. We have not started in-person auditions yet. We've been capable of doing that for months. We just have not found a need, and directors and agencies and people have been able to safely distance and go virtual as much as we can, and we've been able to do it on all the projects so far. So thank God for that. Thank God for technology. Thank God for the internet and people being able to do these things from their home. It's so key. Just like us now. Who would have thought? We hate being on camera, by the way. So.
But it is the new normal. It's the necessary beast. So, so what do virtual auditions look like right now? Are you seeing the same number of people per role? What is it looking like as far as the actual casting load on virtual projects?
Well, we have two different types of castings that we do. Virtual meaning like a Zoom audition, and self-tape submissions. The virtual auditions we don't get to see as many people as we would in say the studio, because with the studio you can bring folks in, things keep moving along quickly, but with the internet, there's sometimes issues with the connection, people's setup, if you have a phone, you have to turn the phone and then turn it back and turn it back. There's a lot of things that take up time. So we try and keep moving, but there's more time added.
Is there anything to be said about what kind of time people need to think about as far as their setup and how to get ready for these types of virtual calls when they need to go live with you guys?
Absolutely. If you can, practice at home, find a good location to do your auditions, a place where you can be well lit, where the light's coming towards you and not from behind you, whether it's a computer or a phone. Do some Zooms with friends or Skypes, whatever the casting company uses, and check your connection, see if that's going well. There's a lot of things you can prepare before you do an actual virtual audition to make sure your stuff is running.
And I will chime in here and say, for those of you that don't know, the Coffer Center supports union performers in doing these technical trials. So if you are totally at sea, get a hold of myself or our media technician, Henrik, because we are exactly the types of people that Joan's talking about, where we can get on live with you and talk you through what isn't working about what you're doing right now, so that hopefully when these folks have a money making opportunity for you, you get straight to the point with what they need you to do.
I gotta say, that's an amazing resource, and actors need to take advantage of that resource.
Yeah.
Now. They should have been taking advantage of, but it is definitely something that actors have got to be prepared for. It's the new norm, and it will continue on even after we start seeing people in studios again. So there are advantages that are not just for the short term. It is going to be long term.
Right.
For sure.
Once this is
Virginia, I know
an
you've
avenue.
Virginia's
once this is
always
an
got
avenue, this
comments
is
on
exactly what they
self-taped
use.
virtual things. So do you have anything to add on that last question?
Well, yeah, I mean, just because you're not in the room, the time I would spend with you in the room to work out, your audition and the beats in the script and the minutia of your reactions and the subtleties here and there, I can't necessarily do that if I have to spend 5 minutes of your audition time, getting your framing right, your lighting right, all that stuff. It's just like, those are things that if you can do this Coffer Center, like, man, that's great, because they will set you up. I need to see you. Like, I may know who you are and I may know you're a great actor, but if it's not coming through because the Zoom connection's bad, because your internet's bad, or because the lighting's bad, the clients don't know you. They're not going to know that you're great, you're solid. They're just going to see, they're not ready yet. And that's going to be their reaction. So we want you to be, the people we know you are. So, the best stuff you can present, try to do that. Lighting, camera, framing, space, all that stuff, internet, all so important, especially when that the guy next to you on the tape has great, like, everything he does is great. You don't want to be the guy following that guy and have like a crappy camera or internet connection, and just, clients don't know you like we do, so that's all they see.
Well, and it's hard for them to look past that, especially, I mean, they can't see your acting past your pixelated image, so you have to make their job easier.
Technical issues have definitely hurt people's auditions very much. And to Virginia's point, when you only have a certain amount of time and you are spending easily half that time getting people set with connection issues and lighting and everything, it takes away from your audition completely. And that's the hardest thing. And that's the stuff that we as casting directors don't really have time for. We're not the techno people for you. You've got to resolve this on your own. And that's a massive responsibility for a performer to take on, but that is what it is. So we really want people to be informed and prepared.
And that's critical, especially during callbacks, when you have the client on, the director on, and they're all seeing your struggle. It it adds to it. It takes more time. The other person on the Zoom, they're, like Virginia said, their quality might be really well done and well lit, but you're struggling, and those little things affect perception.
Yeah, I think the
Uh,
biggest thing is we always had this environment that was a level playing field when you come in, and it is not anymore. So everyone has to make it as level as they can for the performance, so they could just relax and do what they need to do, which is act. And that's the hardest thing, because you're so flustered and worried about everything else that you can't just listen to what the direction is and apply it. So the more you can be calm about it, you're going to do better, like in any situation. And we can't calm
I'm
you.
thinking about, I don't know if anyone saw the Princess Bride live feed. I'm thinking about the Inigo Montoya and Christopher Guest's feed that kept like, the buffering speed was so bad, and it killed the whole moment, because everyone knew what the moment was supposed to be, but it cut back and forth between, and every time you got back to Christopher Guest, and it was like, it was like, oh God, like it hurt, because you knew, and he's Christopher Guest, so
You've got the internet.
it's crappy internet, and those are those things, but there's a lot of things that you can do with what you have, whether that is finding the solid Wi-Fi and being as close to that source if you don't have a way to hook up, or using, a hard wire. There are ways to solidify this. So yes, to David's point, you're not thinking about all of the technical, so you can actually just do your audition when it's time to do the work that you really do well. So, but that said, so Zoom auditions, self-tapes, what are you guys preferring more right now in this moment? One member writes that they're liking Zoom auditions more than self-tapes due to the instant feedback, but they want to know, what do you prefer?
I'll speak on that only because it's every job is different, every job is unique, and we are reviewing all of that when we're getting the project in, whether it's the speed of the project or how many people they're expecting to see what we could have normally seen in our studio. So every job's different. I would say we're a little heavier on self-tapes for the most part, because when it comes down to a budget and they only have so much money in their budget and our time is based on that, we could see more people with self-tapes. And then it falls into the actor to
knowing how to produce it
and produce their own audition. But callbacks are always virtual when you have to get into that. And there may be times that, whether it's a self-tape or virtual audition with us directly, there may be no callbacks with that. So they may be fine just going off the original audition for it too. So be aware. But it's a crapshoot. We don't know. We're doing one now that's a self-tape, which means we have to start funneling through it and then give feedback, and then potentially have people self-tape again or redo their.
Yeah, to that point, that's why it's critical. If you can, we know you're working and have other things that come in, but if you can, get that tape into us before the deadline so that we can review it. And if we need you to adjust, or if there was a piece of direction that you missed, then we can actually get it another tape from you and present your best self. So,
well, on the topic of Zoom callbacks, David, like you're talking about, what is the biggest difference as far as like what people need to wrap their head around between in-person and Zoom callbacks? How would you guys, having been in these virtual sessions with clients, how would you recommend members prepare for a virtual callback session?
Prepare.
I know, right? A misnomer right there.
I mean, it's a foreign. I mean, actors have an easier go than pretty much anybody. Directors are becoming used to this, but actors are used to performing in front of a lens. For me to talk like this, if I didn't have you there, I would have a problem, because I don't talk to space. I don't give reactions to a lens. So it's that comfort factor. And again, it really comes down to, you're in your own environment, so you should feel safe. You don't have people staring at you that are foreign, meaning a cold room or cold ambiance that sometimes happens in a callback. Sometimes you have a director who has a foreign dialect or bad connection, and you're trying to pick up and be clear on direction. And we can't give you those tips like in a normal waiting room that we can go out and say, hey, this is what the situation is, give you some notes on it, prepare for it a few minutes before you're coming in. We're in the situation of, hey, welcome to this room, and everything's foreign. So you need to, at least for myself, you got to embrace the foreign, and you just have to be ready for a problem, and you got to be ready for a change. But it's different for sure. It's and Virginia and John could probably talk to more. They've done more callbacks virtually, and chime in on it, ladies.
Yeah,
Well,
what is it like? We were talking about this, and it's such a weird thing because, like, we're talking about that waiting area, and people have that opportunity to either get briefed by you or like prepare themselves mentally and energy wise before they come in. Virginia and Joan, what is it like being in these virtual rooms?
I think it's daunting for the performer because, like David said, they're coming into a space that they know nothing about. They can't see most of the people who are attending. Sometimes they can't see the director. Like if you're on your phone, I think you can't usually see people. And the audio is sometimes challenging. So it's hard. And sitting in that waiting room, if you can, I don't know if on a phone you can see the waiting room chats, but we'll chat you, we're coming to you in 2 minutes, but you need to always like be ready and be on. It's hard. It's hard for you guys. It's hard for everybody involved. It's a challenge for the other side, the director, because they don't have that immediacy and that visceral reaction to the performer.
Right, it's different. It's very different when somebody can't physically walk into a room, and then you have this like human chance to see one another and say hello and have some sort of like almost an initiation ritual before you get started. Like that's not, I'm imagining the same exchange once you get dropped into the virtual room with you guys at all.
Yeah, so if you have a technical problem or something, just smile and laugh about it. I mean, these technical problems happen to everyone. And that phone thing where you have to turn it on its side and back and on its side happens to everyone. So don't get frustrated when we're like, hey, can you turn your phone? I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, but Virginia and I know pretty much every time someone comes on with a phone, you see it as correct. But when
this
yes.
is the way that it should be,
it
not
might-
like this on your stand.
Yes.
Correct, but even if it is that way, that you have it,
Yes.
sometimes you have to pick it up and turn it again to readjust for Zoom.
Just trust
Fun.
us. Just trust us when we tell you to do that. Just believe us. Believe that we know what we're talking about. I would
It's
say
showing
just,
up different on your side.
yeah, it looks sideways to us. You're horizontal, but you're sideways. So we're just resetting your screen. But
Again,
I would
you
say
Zoom.
the
Yeah,
biggest thing that she said, the biggest point that she said is don't get flustered. Don't get flustered because it's happening to everyone. I've seen people, their cameras fall down, their tripods on the ground, and all they're thinking about is apologizing and explaining, and then they don't remember the script, and then they don't know, they can't listen to direction. Like, it's cool. Like, everybody here is cool. Like, we've prepped all our clients. We've told them there's going to be issues. Don't you worry. Like, everybody's cool with it. Like, everybody I've worked with is like super chill. They're all learning Zoom together. They don't know how it works. Like, everyone's going to have some tech issues. Don't worry about it. You stay focused on you and your script, and just trust that, like, I'll stall while you fix your camera. Like, we'll do bits over here on our end so that nobody cares, just focus on you and what you're there to do. That's all we want.
Well,
For the framing, I do want to point out that we do live in the TV world, so horizontal is the go-to unless you are asked for vertical. We're not TikTok, we're not Instagram. So just always go to that, unless sometimes we may ask for that to see a full body shot or something like that. But overall, horizontal, it's key because it literally opens your world up and you're way more confined when you're going the other route.
Perfect. You bring up the tripod knockover, and there have been a couple of questions about what is the expectations about equipment setup. Somebody asks, seems silly, but should we use our phones for a Zoom callback and set it on a tripod? What do you guys have to say about what is the best way to get set up with your gear to be ready to do exactly these things that you're asking people to do in the moment in the hot seat?
I would say a lot of that depends on the situation. So you may know based on your first audition that you have to stand up for a shot and sit down for a shot. You need to be able to change that up. If it's framing or height of your tripod or whatever it is, you should just be prepared to change things up. Don't be like, oh, this is going to take me 5 minutes to break down so that I can do this shot for you. Like, just kind of be in a place where you can roll with it. If it's just a seated audition and you can be on a computer with a great camera and it's plugged into Ethernet, like that's hot stuff right there. Ethernet is great, a computer is great, you know, but a phone sometimes is a better camera than all our computers because our phones are typically, you know, they just have great cameras these days. So nobody cares on our end if it's a computer or a camera. We'd like you to have a tripod if possible because of the ease of adjusting. You can up and down it super quick. So if I do have to do standing bits with you or sit down bits with you, we don't spend 2 minutes while you reset or while you find books to stack something on, you know, like we don't want the camera looking up your nose. So can you adjust that? I need an eye level with you so that it looks like it does in the room. You basically want to recreate the session room in your home.
The other thing to be aware as performers that when you're doing, for example, self-tapes, you're in 100% control of that with what we see, with editing out all the bad things. We are very aware of that. We're, you know, as casting directors, if we know the actors well, we're aware of hiccups and things that they can do. We know if they're also submitting, which they should be doing, their best performances on it. Just be prepared that when you get into that callback, you don't have that ability to edit. So you need to know what they liked about your first auditions, be prepared to watch those things. And I suggest everybody who's going into a callback, watch your audition again before going in. Hopefully pick up on some of the things that they are liking for it. Also be aware that if you self-taped and you're doing these a marathon things outside and kicking the ball and doing a lot of movement, you're not going to be able to necessarily do that in a virtual callback. So it's going to be a different audition because you'll be contained to a space. You know, having somebody hold the camera is not usable unless really, really asked for, because directors literally, I think one was saying were getting nauseous during a callback
because the frame was like,
it was all
And
over.
it was outside and you couldn't hear the person. It was a bit of a disaster for that talent. But also in your setup, if you can have some space behind you and not be up against the wall, just in case the director wants you to do some movement, like a walk-in. That's happened a lot on my callbacks, and people just weren't thinking, oh, I need some space. So you can have a little depth behind you so that you can stand up if needed, walk into the shot, show them how you move. That'll be really helpful. And have your props. Have your props.
You guys are bringing up good points though, because the other thing is, like, you know, actors are very used to being able to come into the room and be told the direction, like how we're going to produce these beats and what mark you're going to hit, and you're going to come in from here and then pick up the whatever. And now when you get this list of directions, like you need to have these props, you know, this kind of action needs to happen. What you guys don't know that these folks know is what they have at their avail at home. And so how are you going to create this? And you need to think of that setup, because a session director has set the setup for everyone for the day when you're coming in live. Now you're your own session director as far as what your setup needs to be. So what counter are you using? What things are out of frame? Which hand are you going to grab them with? If you have a cord over here, like think those things through, knowing that it's all going to fall apart at some point possibly anyway. But as long as you have it in your head, then I think that probably helps you guys a lot to be able to produce that with these virtual calls so that it looks as fluid as possible.
We are asking, and productions are asking, a lot of performers now. They are asked for things that they never thought that they would have to be, you know, producing their own projects, their callbacks, their lighting, all these things that everybody on the other side takes for granted. Producers, directors, like, what do you mean? Why don't they have this set up? Why don't? But at this point, every performer out there needs to be prepared for it. Our best advice is the new norm. Get prepared. If there's an investment in equipment to do things, you need to make the investment. and you need to be prepared because the next person's going to do it. It's another hurdle for you to overcome in this process, and go after it, and don't fall behind with it, because it will definitely hold you up.
But I will say, even for people that are concerned about the investment, because more people need to do this at home now, and Virginia and I were talking about this last week, I've actually seen the price point go down on some of these things because there's larger demand. So they could be priced competitively. So the same tripod stand that I bought this spring is now $20 cheaper. Same exact product, same exactly. And so you don't have to break the bank to do exactly what you guys are asking for anymore.
No, I look at also, it's like, at least you're saving some money by not coming into the office. You're saving your
You don't
time.
have to, drive.
You're
park.
saving in gas, you're saving wear and tear. So, and you're doing it on your own time for the most part, unless it's a callback or a scheduled virtual. So there's some cost savings that the performer is getting. So if they're looking like, I don't have the money to invest, it's like, you're putting an investment every time you go out for an audition. You may be buying a new shirt because you want a shirt that works for the audition. So be prepared for that, and don't cheap out on yourself, because all we see is you and your world at home. And all we want you to do is succeed in these auditions, and we've got your back, but we don't get to have your back as much as we normally do because you're not next to us, and we can't give you that tidbit immediately going into it, or hey, they just changed this, be prepared. We don't have that. And so just be prepared, roll with the punches, know that everybody's in the same boat.
Question as far as doing for yourself and sending this in to you guys as the self-tape. Somebody asks, for slate, do you prefer the first shot to be a close-up of face, then out to full body, then back to close-up? So I guess I'll just rephrase that to say, what does your ideal self-tape slate look like? Since again, so many people have been used to letting you do that. They just stand there and they don't know necessarily for sure what you're capturing. What do people need to give you?
Everything's different. Every job's different. We give you a direction sheet and we tell you exactly what to do. A lot lately, we've just been telling you to slate so we can see you, like here. And then we have you upload a photo of a full body so that you don't have to worry about it. But a good thing to have, as long as you're not changing your look all the time, a good thing to have is just, a pre-recorded tape of you in a wide shot, full body. You can insert that into any audition you send us, and if we need it in the tape, you could send it to us. If you can edit that stuff together, again, it's like iMovie or whatever it is, you just combine all those tapes into one, you got a full body shot in there. And you don't have to do it every time. You don't have to do it while you're doing the other stuff for your tape. But, we ask for a full body shot photo, so a lot of times we're getting it that way. So a lot of times the slate is literally just your name. But just read the direction sheet every time so that you know exactly what we're looking for.
That's a great suggestion. Just having a dummy slate that could be used for any project is a good idea.
As long as you
Make
look
sure
like
it's
that,
current. Yeah.
as long as you look like that, we don't care. Like, it works. Like, most people don't change their appearance all the time, but the key is read that sheet, because that sheet will explain what my client needs to see for that job, and it's always different.
Good note. Yes, there's the devil's in the details. So don't just fire away your tape and miss major details. Don't do yourself a disservice. Because this is the other thing we were talking about. If you want to be submitted, sometimes depending on deadlines, it's easier just to not submit the tape that doesn't follow the details, right? Not to say that anyone's going to end up in the trash, but like if you guys don't have enough time and they have plenty of other options, then
You might end up in the trash.
you might end up in the trash, and all of
I have
that
a
work.
trash can and I know how to use it.
Right. Okay. So this is one for all of you guys. Go around. What are your pet peeves in the virtual casting room?
A flood.
People not being there at their scheduled time, not being camera ready. That's kind of critical because we have a schedule as well, and it's a domino effect for the other people coming in, and that's my biggest pet peeve.
Yeah, I mean,
Virginia's laughing right now, so
there's so many things that we're all like cool with because you're just learning things and stuff. But like, if you're in our waiting room, I can click on you at any time and bring you in, and you may not be seeing the chats that I'm sending saying you're next, you're next, you're next. And then I click on you and I can see you like in the background, like just pacing or running lines or filing your nails. Like I've seen so many things. They're just not looking at the screen, so they don't know we're all watching you. Like just sit there.
Don't
Because
pick
your
your nose.
audio doesn't connect. Oh my God, it's awful when clients are there and you're just kind of like waving your arms, trying to attract attention in movement. You got to pay attention to that stuff, that especially if you're in the waiting room. That's a really good one.
Yes, that's a great point, Virginia, because sometimes that audio is not connected
You
and
have to click the button to connect the audio,
you're sitting there.
and I can't do anything.
And I think, and this is a reminder for people too, I think you can test if you're not sure if your feed is working, because I've had that happen with people too, where they're like, and they think that their audio and you have nothing to do and they have nothing to do. Test that stuff before you go live. You can do that in the call before this camera comes up. So you may think you did all your work and then nobody can hear you. And then at that point, the only solution is to go out and come back in. And that's going to be more stress inducing than anything.
Yeah, there's definitely settings on Zoom where you can automatically join your audio so that you don't ever get in that situation of just sitting there, can't hear anything. Just be wary of that, because then I can hear everything you say when I click you in the room. Pros and cons.
Pros and cons.
I'm going to skip this one because Joan kind of and Virginia hit it, but I saw some chats popping up, and this is important because we've mentioned chats. Somebody just said, I've never seen a chat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is one of those education things that you need to play around with Zoom and Skype and understand where things are popping up on your equipment and know how to get to those things, because there's a little button that says chat. Somebody just chatted. Also, there was a camera, or Stan Adams was asking about a camera. I can't really give a recommendation on a camera, but if you have a computer, there's plenty of webcams out there that are high definition that are great to do.
And Stan, we can, if you message Henrique or I, we can work on MacGyvering your home setup with you to see what you have and what's working. So feel free to set up a session with us afterwards and we can see what you're using that isn't a smartphone and see what works. But yeah, to the question about the chat and audio and camera only coming up, the other thing is all Zoom calls can be set up differently by the host. So yes, to David's point, sometimes it might just come up automatically, sometimes it doesn't. So knowing exactly how everything works and having that sense of control over this platform helps so that whatever happens, you can help the person hosting the session get what they need to get. I know we are up against the clock with you guys, so I'm gonna close us with one good question and let you guys get back to your busy day and hopefully calling some of these fine folks in for something. What is your best advice for someone who hasn't been in your office for a while, which is everyone technically right now, but I mean, oh, see, look, technology, my light just went out. That's when you should have something more than this battery pack. But yes, what is your advice for folks?
I think my advice is the same pre-COVID as it is now. Be prepared, keep working at your craft. Don't settle and don't get complacent. If you're not up to the technology, get up to the technology. If you haven't been working on any kind of classes or workshops or anything to keep yourself sharp, even if it's doing it on your own or with friends and recording yourself and playing with scripts and characters, you're not doing yourself a favor. It's too easy to get lost in your own world now and to just say, I'll do it tomorrow and put off and be, it's a hard enough job being an actor and a performer. And now you're isolated and you don't have that, which you're craving, which is performing. So it's easy to get down on yourself and it's easy to put things off to the next day. But staying up to the moment and trying to be prepared so that when you do have that opportunity, you shine. And search out whatever you can, do your research, be prepared, watch what's going on. Turn off the news, watch what's going on as far as production work and be aware of what's going on there and look for those opportunities. There's opportunities that are all over the place. Casting directors, agents, keep informed or keep up to date with your agent. Keep your profiles active and current, your looks active on casting networks and Breakdown and all the services that we all use. And I'll stop there. We're running short on time.
I'd say also to David used a lot of my suggestions, but talk to your agent and find out from them what's happening around town and what kind of projects are being offered. So like you're very isolated right now, and you don't get to run into actors in the waiting room to see if the town is busy or if you're missing out on things. So keep in touch with your agent and see what they're submitting you on and strengthen that relationship with them.
Sure they know, like if you're quarantining with a partner or family or parents or whatever it is, you got kids, if we've done a lot of who are you with, let's have them audition too, because productions can't always have 5 different actors come together to be a family. They want real families sometimes. So if your agent doesn't know you have a real family at home, let them know so they can submit you on those jobs, because that's a lot of stuff right now. And I'd only add, if you want, we do have discussions available that you guys can check out on our website. You can chat with casting directors about stuff like that. David knows more about that. He can plug it if you want, but it's
Oh my God.
it's a fun thing. It's a fun thing that we're starting up where you guys can chat with us and you can either be in a group or one-on-one, and you can learn more about everything we're talking about.
We just found a need that performers needed to reach out and again keep up to date on questions between COVID and just normal things. So wherever that is, be aware that people are doing those things and people want to help. And the Coffer Center is a great resource to use. And there's resources all around town. They may be new to you and they may be unique, but definitely search them out.
And this moment of time is like a great time to find all of those things and pull your resources together, the ones that you've actually obtained to put in your home and all of these virtual resources. I think that is truly, like you guys are talking about, the gift that casting has put themselves out there during this time in a different way than they've had the time to do in the past. And so there is a lot of information, and you can really get yourself ready by informing yourself and reaching out and accessing those things. Following you guys on social media too. You guys are at O'Connor Casting TV. Is that right? What's your handle for social?
What is that?
That sounds like our
I
Instagram.
think it's like at o'connorcasting.tv.
Follow these folks as well, if you don't already, because again, the casting directors are putting themselves out there in different spaces too, and that is a great way to stay tuned so that when they have stuff that they want to make available to you to benefit you and your career, you can access that. So follow them in the places that you can follow them as well. Keep yourself savvy and smart. And you guys, thank you so much. I don't want to abuse your time further. I appreciate you guys so much for making the time today for the members, for our community, and hopefully, we can all look forward with bright eyes to work and collaborating in new and different ways during the season. So thank you guys so much for being here today and making the time.
Thank you. Stay safe, everyone.
Yes, thanks for
And everybody, thank you guys so much for being here. Stay tuned. We'll have more of these types of conversations for you soon, and feel free to follow us, like I said, on social at Coffer Center, or you could email me or our media technician. My email is jess.jones@coffercenterchicago.com, and Henrique is at staff@coffercenterchicago.com. We're here for you in whatever way we can help support you on the journey. So have a great day, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your coffee. We hope to talk to you soon.
Thank you all.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Everyone still waves. I love it.